Hi, this is Jane Mitten. Jane Does Keto, and this is day 2 of our 30-day OMAD challenge. And it's been a little bit of a crazy day today, so I apologize. I'm a little behind in making our OMAD meal today, but as you know, it's an organic cod, and I'm going to show you exactly how to make it. And so there'll be a little noise. I am filming this myself, so I don't have anyone to help me, and I do have this microphone that I'm going to be dangling around, so hopefully it all works out well. But it's going to be an organic Icelandic cod. We're going to do a lemon butter with mint, cauliflower rice. I'm going to throw in a little fresh dill too, some red pepper, sun-dried tomato, and a small kale salad. And this is just some things that I've bought that will help make it easier. So I'm going to show you those first. So I buy this large bag of kale. I eat 2 of these a week. So if you think that keto or ketotarian is not healthy, this is 1 pound. I eat 2 of these a week, but this is just the beginning of the greens that I eat. So I eat 7 to 10 cups of greens a day. So there's that. And then I love these. These are considered the healthiest greens in the world, microgreens. So there's radish microgreens, there's kale, there's broccoli sprouts microgreens, and this one is the micro kale mix. And I'll show it to you just because a lot of people haven't seen it, but these are, kind of live food, and this is considered the healthiest greens there is on earth. So let me just show you. Isn't it cool? And they're little heart-shaped. So very healthy. I use these more sparingly. This little thing is what, less than 2 ounces, and it's about $4, $5. So this is a luxury, and I use it just to add a little different crunch flavor and that kind of thing. I've got mint because I don't have a garden right now. And of course, baby dill. Seasonings that I'm going to be using are this seafood seasoning, and it is for all kinds of fish, and it has things in it like rosemary, dill, sage, just some other, it's actually all fresh herbs, but pretty nice. So I usually use a little of that, which I am going to use, some, fresh cracked pepper. I'm going to also put a little of this one in, the Trader Joe's citrus garlic seasoning blend. It's a little Cuban style, and it adds a little citrus. And then I usually use also garlic and ginger. Now, either these, the dry seasonings, or the frozen ones that come in little pallets, kind of like tiny ice cube pallets. Those are great for cooking too, but I'll use these because I have this relatively small space I'm trying to work off of so that I can do this all myself. Got the red pepper, lemons from the tree. That is an advantage, and it is quite large. So I am gonna just wash that off briefly. Get that clean, and of course some cauliflower rice. I don't make it myself usually. This is amazing at Costco. I think you get 4 packages. Does it say? Oh yes, 4 steam bags. So let me show you this. So you get this much in a bag, and this has been out, so it's not frozen anymore, but I will be cooking this in the same pan with the fish and the vegetables, so it's easier. Bunch of fries, got Icelandic cod, and the thing I like about cod is that it takes on the flavor, kind of like a fillet of sole, or even sea bass does, of whatever you put with it. So as salmon has a very fragrant taste of its own, these take on the flavor of whatever you're putting with them. So both are good possibilities. don't want to get a hair in the food. So here we go. This is a very large piece of fish, so I'm actually going to cut it in half. I don't know if I'll show it to you. There's a big piece of cod. And I don't know about you, but I love going to Cape Cod, so the thought of having some cod is always kind of exciting. So to make it easier, this one's a little harder to deal with. I'm going to use this piece. This piece is probably about 6 ounces, and I think that's good enough for 2 people. So I will be putting that in the pan, and I will put this aside, the rest, for later. Always wash your hands when you're using raw fish. And then we will start putting things together. So one of the things I've recommended on Ketotarian, the Kerrygold Irish butter. Fantastic. It's actually quite good for you. It tastes great. I'm not going to use this knife though, because I don't feel like a knife cut with fish that's raw is safe. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons, possibly as much as 3. I'm going to have to look at it, but I'm not using any oil this time. So 75% of our meal is going to be made up of good fats. This is part of it. It goes right in the pan, and I am going to use probably half of a red pepper. I feel like a whole red pepper this size would probably be a little too much. So I'm just going to do very rough cuts, nothing special, because again, I'm not a chef. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a chef. I'm a person who has lost a lot of weight on keto and is trying to lose the last 25, let's say. And so I've gone to more, quote, drastic measures, which is OMAD. And it's simply a form of fasting whereby you're only eating once a day over about a 2-hour window of, they call it a feeding window. I always find it funny to hear that. Last weekend when I was on the 72-hour fast, they refer to the time when you go back to eating as refeeding. So in many ways now I feel like an animal at a zoo. When am I getting my feedings? But rest assured on keto, and especially on OMAD, you're simply not hungry. So it really makes it easier to lose weight. And let's cut up this that fell off the tree. It is very large, so we certainly don't need a lot. That's a beauty, isn't it? To those of you who are not in a climate that is growing citrus, this is for you. But to my friends at Hotel Margarita in the Amalfi Coast, Suela, no one makes a lemon like you do. So these are special. So we're just going to cut up a couple pieces. I just like to have a little bit of the aromatic citrus taste. I don't worry about a few seeds. I throw them in. And one more quarter slice. I think that's going to be enough because, again, we don't want it to be completely citrusy. So I'm going to use a little bit of dill. I used it on the salmon. I love it on salmon, but since I have a lot, and those of you that use it know, you can't keep it forever. So I simply just throw it in. I don't like the long stems. Sometimes I mince it up, but it really doesn't make any difference. However you do it. And if you have ideas, let me know. But this is the way I like to do it. And just throw it in. And the same will be true to some extent for the fresh mint. So I don't know what your favorite is, but I think my favorite is mint. I use dill in almost everything, but there's just nothing like this. And in honor of the Kentucky Derby, I love mint. So I was a sports writer for many years and never covered the Kentucky Derby. Don't really know much about that kind of sport, but it certainly is a great sport, and it's certainly on the bucket list for many reasons. The clothes, the fascinators, the horses, the Louisville sensibility and beautiful charm of the gentility of the South. And there's probably nothing I love better than an Arnold Palmer, in honor of my favorite golfer. Some fresh lemonade made with Swerve, so it's not sugary, and some fresh mint. So it's already looking quite good, but I'm going to take this package of cauliflower rice, and I'm going to put, I was going to use all of it, but I realized that that is really too much, so I'm just going to maybe use half. That's another thing you find when you're on keto and fasting and, you know, you're losing a lot of weight, is that you just simply aren't as hungry. So, you know, I make myself eat a certain amount, but I don't eat when I'm not hungry, no matter what. I will wait, even if it's been a whole day. And I eat until I'm full, and then I stop. And so I am simply putting in this fish seasoning, which is a kind of a wide variety. It's sort of like herbes de Provence, that kind of thing. So it's really not much, but just a bit. And my grandmother, the wonderful Jane Luce Hobart of Evanston, Illinois, taught me to cook by feel. So that's why I'm throwing it in there. Kind of like old Southern style too. Pepper, citrus garlic seasoning, Cuban style from Trader Joe's. Throw a bit of that in, and that has a bit of salt in it, so usually I use salt. I have this very special salt that my friend Joanne made, and she took very high quality sea salt and she infused it with some great herbs, I think from her garden. So normally I don't use too much salt, but when you're on OMAD, you really do have to watch your electrolytes, and as you do when you're losing weight. So this will solve many of those problems: the magnesium, the potassium, the sodium. So a little garlic, just a bit for flavor, and a bit of ginger. So this one doesn't have anything to, just have to do that by feel. Okay, so we've done all of these things. This is ready to start cooking, and this is how it appears. So I will cook this, and then I will show you the product. While this is cooking, I'm simply going to make a salad out of kale, some sun-dried tomato. I'm going to use a little more pepper, and I think I'm going to use just a small bit of microgreens and a couple ounces of feta cheese for flavor. I'm going to make a dressing out of white wine vinegar, and I looked at all the labels. This one doesn't have sugar, and organic olive oil. So come back and see what happens next.